a salary that is equal to the cost of living, or the rising cost of living.
They don't go by that anymore.
Go
by
union.
What the corporation wants.
I wish the unions come back full force.
Only 7% are unions today. Okay.
Well, if the people,
and the unions.
what about the people getting pissed off enough and make the unions come back? Out of desperation. When is an animal most dangerous? When it has nothing to lose.
But the unions caused their own demise.
They got corrupted?
No, that's not it at all. When they went to get contracts and all this other stuff, they did what the corporation wanted. Because they're so fearful of losing their benefits, of losing their pay, of losing the job, of No, changes have to be made. Corporations have to bow before we the people in our government. It's our government, not the corporations and the wealthy.
Corporations and the government should have to answer to we the people. And we the people should hold their so-called elected leaders' feet to the fire.
Oh, but that would be putting into place regulations. God forbid we should have regulations.
Why do you think FDR's created all these regulations?
And why do you think Mr. Reagan started getting rid of them?
I remember Reagan
with Friedman's stupid economics.
Hey, what happened? Reagan was bitching and moaning like a bitch, like a baby, when the the air traffic controllers went on strike.
Patco. Yeah.
Patco. Yeah. And he was really
fired them all.
He was ranting and raving about
destroyed the union.
Unions. Hey, if it wasn't for the unions, it will be like the Industrial Revolution with J.P. Morgan, right? There'll be the slave labor, child labor.
Well, we still have that, don't we?
Why? What? If a person can't make ends meet and a person can't survive on what the company pays them in the United States of America, then where is the incentive to roll out of bed in the morning and be a sucker and a slave for the 1%, for the elitists? Where is the incentive? That's what I want to tell all these right wingers.
Well, that's why, and of course, the God Project in the new censored, of course, is doing a God's economics. That's why in God's economics, every man shall have his own land and his own vine. Okay? He will not be beholding to some corporation for his survival. If he wants to go and work for somebody, he's free to do it. Well, but it's not forced.
In the old days, American families produced their own food on their own land.
Correct. When they moved to the city, they lost that freedom and liberty. And the Industrial Revolution, the corporations took over. Because what were people going to do to survive? They had to get a job.
It's the same thing. It reminds me of, not to change the subject, but it might be related. Healthcare reform, when the public option was taken off the table right away. I mean, nobody, and all these right-wingers were worried that their wonderful health insurance was going to be taken away from them. Just like they're worried about their guns being taken away from them. Nobody wants to take away your health insurance. If you can afford it and you prefer your health insurance, you should keep your health insurance. But those that are poor should be on a public option, a type of modified Medicare, a public option. But if nobody wanted to take away their precious health insurance, but they cried and bitched and moaned. Oh, socialism! Obama wants to take away our health insurance. He wants to take away our guns. He wants to, Of course, everybody knows about the incident with this nut sending the letter with the castor bean toxins in it.
Ricin.
Huh?
Ricin,
yeah, and everything. Freaking out about his guns being taken away. Anyway, let us sink our piranha teeth into these readings.
Oh boy.
I'm surprised I got done as early as I did with this. I thought this monologue was going to take forever. Because I told you it was heavy duty. Oh, by the way, our longtime friend and associate of our organization, our fine organization, our commercial voiceover specialist, William H. Morrow III, is supposed to be calling in at 3:30 p.m. To give his words of wisdom from... he's on the road now doing a seminar, so we'll be hearing from him. Go ahead.
A perfectly preserved woolly mammoth carcass
Another one?
with liquid blood has been found on a remote Arctic island,
With blood?
fueling hope
Wow.
of cloning the Ice Age animal.
Yes, yes, I like this mad science.
Russian scientists say.
Go for it. Go for it.
I don't want no stinking mammoth eating me up.
They're vegetarians. They're vegans, rather.
Well, they might mistake me for an asparagus.
Yeah, you look a little... No, you look more like a coconut. A coconut. No, asparagus... No. Asparagus makes my urine stink.
Well, it does that.
For
It's
some
also
reason.
I believe it's a diuretic.
I love it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love asparagus.
With cheese
Or gratin.
and wrapped with bacon.
Yeah, well, Dr. Bill is very carnivorous, so he must have some...
Well, I'm just saying, for people who like their asparagus, that's one way of making it.
Anyway, you got elephants in the world. What makes you think a woolly mammoth is going to be have a wicked mind compared to another elephant?
Because animals have been cursed. They were cursed in the Garden of Eden when Adam and Eve did the wrong thing.
Yeah. I want to find out what the hell happened to the T-Rex DNA that was supposed to be injected into fertilized chicken eggs. The dino chicken thing. We never heard anything about that.
The carcass was in such good shape because its lower part was stuck in pure ice. The head of the Mammoth Museum fellow who led the expedition said the blood is very dark.
Is this a fully preserved woolly mammoth? Like
He may not be full, but there's much
but
of
they
him.
found blood, liquid form blood, which means they got tons of DNA.
DNA, yes.
I love it. I love this article.
It was found in ice cavities below the belly. And when we broke these cavities with a pole pick, the blood came running out.
Why can't they be more careful, these archaeologists? What are they going to do? They're going to butcher this poor animal? Carcass?
Woolly mammoths are thought to have died out around 10,000 years ago.
They need all this DNA. What the hell's wrong with them?
Although scientists think small groups of them lived longer in Alaska and on islands off Siberia. Scientists have deciphered much of the woolly mammoth's genetic code from their hair. And some believe it's possible to clone them.
Clone it.
If
Clone
living
it.
cells are found.
Huh?
If living cells are found,
In other words,
they can clone it.
well, if they slowly and properly thaw the remains, they might just find living cells. Clone it.
The find could provide the necessary material. The blood of mammoths appeared not to freeze in extreme temperatures, likely keeping mammoths warm.
What the hell is it, like antifreeze in a car?
Possible.
Wow.
The temperature at the time of excavation was 14 to 19 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay.
The researchers collected the samples of the animal's blood in tubes with a special preservative agent.
Good for them.
They were sent to Yakutsk
Ah, Yakutsk.
for bacterial examination in order to spot potentially dangerous infections.
Yakutsk.
The carcass muscle tissue was also in perfect condition. The fragments of muscle tissues which we found out of the body have a natural red color of fresh meat. Up to 13 feet in height and 20,000 pounds in weight, mammoths roamed across huge areas between Great Britain and North America.
Are they larger than African and Asian elephants?
I
today?
believe so.
Not counting the wool, not counting the extra hair.
They were driven to extinction by humans
What else is new?
and the changing climate.
I think they should propagate a tiny herd in Siberia. What do we got here?
Picture.
A photo,
Can't make out much about it, but
Well, all right. You know, it's like I'll show it anyway. I'll show
the
it.
carcass.
Carcase.
A carcass.
It's like a caucus in politics. All right.
Too much. Go back. Hey, back.
Lower?
Back. Down. Down. Okay.
Don't forget the viewers have to make out what the hell this photo
It's
is.
hard to. Anyway.
All right, that's the carcass as it was found in the ice.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Whatever. We got a mammoth. That's all.
We got a mammoth. All right, we got a mammoth. It's June the 1st, 2013. It's the upgrading of our pirate ship to a starship, and now we have a woolly mammoth with lots of liquid blood and DNA and hopefully living cells. I salute you, woolly mammoth carcass. May you clone very successfully. I always thought they were cute and cuddly looking, the woolly mammoth. Not the saber-toothed tiger, though. Or those ugly Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal. Well, actually, we have a lot of those running around today with clothing on.
Cro-Magnons and Republicans.
Yeah, it's called the Republican Congress.
However, they did bury their dead.
Well,
No, wait, that was the Neanderthals.
they had to. I mean, what are they going to do? Deal with all the maggots and flies
Yeah.
and disease caused by the rotting corpses?
I guess they learned to put them underground.
Yeah, just like eventually
Cover them up.
people learn that food tastes good when you add fire to it.
Yeah, well, I got news for you. Yeah, the people didn't learn for a long time that such things as meat tasted better fresh, not with flies floating around and eating it while it's hanging up somewhere.
Well, I don't think the Inuit peoples, the Eskimos, cooked their meat. I think they ate meat sashimi. I think they ate it raw because if you're in a frozen land, there's no bacterial growth.
Yeah, but the fat when it's cold, it tastes like shit.
No, they don't know any
Can
better.
you imagine eating Crisco from the cave?
Wait a minute! Don't compare natural animal fat to that poison Crisco. That's hydrogenated oil. That's trans fats, brother.
Yeah, but
Don't
the point
compare that.
is that the fat in the animal would still be hard like that. It wouldn't melt at room temperature.
But the consumption of that animal fat with the stearic acid and all the other properties, I think helped with the Inuit people living in that climate.
I say cook it.
Yeah.
Cook it, baby.
People that live in cold climates can eat a higher fat diet.
Yes, they can.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, you see all the animals up there, the seals, the whales, the whatchamacallits, they all have fat.
Well, it's insulation.
Insulation.
What they call blubber, right?
Blubber. Blubber.
I never see.
Governor Christie of New Jersey.
Speaking of blubber.
Isn't that...
Wait a minute. Levity bells.
That was
I just
purely
told-
accidental.
Purely unrehearsed and unexpected joke. Continue, Chris Christie.
Governor Christie of New Jersey has a confession.
Uh-oh.
Weight loss surgery hasn't turned him into a health nut.
I kind of figured that was going to happen.
Not by a long shot.
I figured that was going to happen.
Quote, I'm not nearly as interested in food as I used to be.
Sure.
But it hasn't all of a sudden made me a huge vegetable fan. No matter what they do to me.
Obviously. Actually, I'm glad your first two readings are light, whimsical subjects, because the monologue... Whimsical? It's like an icicle. Because the monologue I did was very serious. All right, continue, Chris Christie.
For the 5-page spread, the magazine interviewed Christie and his wife, Mary Pat.
Oh, it took 5 pages to get a picture of him in there? Get it? 5-page spread?
At their stately Mendham home on topics such as weight and disciplining their 4 children. So what? He ain't living at Thrumwucket?
What the fuck is that?
The governor's mansion.
Oh, that's what they call it? Thrumwucket?
Thrumwucket or something.
Hey, disciplining Chris Christie's children should be easy. He just sits on them.
Green beans, lettuce, and cucumbers are the only vegetables the governor will eat.
I could tell his mother wasn't strict about him as he was growing up.
And he has never been dependent on caffeine, according to a copy of the article obtained by the Star Ledger.
He's got a built-in energy source that would last forever, all that blubber.
I don't have the urge to eat breakfast anymore, Christie said.
No, he eats a humongous lunch.
He's supposed to eat a breakfast. He's supposed to eat many snacks a day with the surgery. Like 6 snacks a day.
If you severely limit and restrict the food you should be eating throughout the day, your body will go into a sort of starvation mode. Like a cactus holding water, it will slow down its metabolism.
And won't let you lose your fat.
And won't allow you to lose the fat, because it'll go into that emergency mode.
And with that surgery, you usually eat like 3.5 ounces of food at each meal, each snack.
You have to portion them properly,
right,
but you have to.
Your stomach can't hold it anymore.
But hey, even for athletes, weightlifters, if you eat smaller but more frequent meals, the food is more digestible and you can assimilate it more.
Faster,
much better, yes.
But also with that surgery, you must, I repeat, you must supplement.
Oh, without a doubt, any diet regimen should be supplemented.
Correct.
Without a doubt. Even vegetarians and vegans should make sure they take plenty of vitamin B12, or like spirulina is an excellent source too. Extra, they should take that because B12 only occurs in mostly in animal products.
I was reading in a veterinary book the other day. The writer mentioned spirulina and said that it can cause, now I don't know what potency she's talking about, can cause liver damage.
Well, you gotta first, you have to analyze the source of the information and see if it's not drug companies.
She was discussing
propaganda
and investigating all manners of alternative treatments for animals.
Well, they found in blue-green algae from, I think, Klamath Lake in Oregon, they found traces of lead. I mean, look, a plant, whether it be algae, whether it be chlorella, spirulina, any plant absorbs nutrients from its environment. Now, if its environment happens to have above normal lead in it, it's going to be in the plant. So it's not the plant that should be demonized. It's the environment where it grows.
Christie said he was never a coffee or Diet Coke guy.
All right, maybe he doesn't care for it. All right.
When the secret lap band surgery Christie had in February was finally disclosed,
Right.
the governor told reporters he wouldn't keep talking about it. But as he said frequently in the days after the news broke, and again in the People interview, the decision was personal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be a proselytizer about this. Look at me.
Heaven forbid a Republican should proselytize.
Look at me. I've defeated it. Why don't you, he said. This only reason I've answered questions about my weight is because I don't want people to feel self-conscious about whatever challenge they have. Christie, who the article's notes just picks at crumb cake while headed to his youngest son's baseball game, is also a disciplinarian when necessary.
Yeah, he sits on his children probably. Doesn't have to spank them.
He's a huge personality
That's for sure.
at home and gets better and faster results with the children than I do, Mary Pat said.
Well, look how rude he is, how he yells at people at the town hall meetings that disagree with him.
He doesn't call us idiots or tell us to shut up, their oldest daughter, Sarah, said.
Of course Sarah's going to say that. That's her daddy.
Christie said
Wow,
sometimes...
wow, wow. She's probably a spoiled little
Sometimes.
princess. Yeah.
It's going into Sarah's room, sitting on her bed,
Without breaking it.
crash,
Crash. Without breaking it.
rubbing her back,
You know what? This is the most the Levity Bells, the most action the Levity Bells have seen ever.
rubbing her back,
I might as well hold it. Yeah.
and saying, I know you're under a lot of stress, but you really need to do this. Other times, where Patrick's being a beast, the only way to deal with him is to raise your voice. Grab him close and say, I'm serious about this, young man.
Well, he's a beast because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Sarcasm.
Most people have a broad spectrum to their personality, and I do too,
Really?
Christie said.
I mean, there's another part of Chris Christie?
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. Like I said, that's her daddy. What can I say? What is she gonna say to the media? That my father's an overbearing
beast.
ogre?
Yeah. Ooh.
You know? I mean, all right. You got one
more here.
for before the break. Yeah.
Michelle Bachmann announced
Oh, that bubblehead Bachmann.
that her fourth term in Congress will be her last.
I hope she. Well, idiots will vote for her. I know it.
Choosing to leave on her own terms after an 18-month period in which her presidential bid collapsed
Thank God.
and she barely managed to retain her House seat.
She's an idiot. Her and Palin.
Bachmann, a leading figure in the Tea Party movement,
Perfect.
discussed the decision in a web video sent to supporters by email.
Ah.
She said her departure was unrelated to ethics inquiries stemming from the presidential run and was not influenced by any concerns about me being reelected. Yeah.
Sure.
Not. After 8 years in Washington, Bachmann left the door open to others' political options, though she didn't say what those might be. She was traveling in Russia as part of a congressional delegation and was not available for interviews. It was a sudden turn for Bachmann, the foster parent turned conservative politician whose climb to prominence roughly coincided with the rise of the Tea Party.
All you have to do is agree with the idiotic philosophies of the Tea Party, and you will rise to prominence.
She swiftly became a face of the movement and helped found the Tea Party caucus in the House.
Yeah, the bowel movement of the Tea Party.
But she was also at risk of being left behind as the movement matured. Ron Carey, former chief of staff to Bachmann, said he suspects she was anticipating a tough battle ahead in Congress. What difference does that make? Because while she was in Congress for 8 years, she did nothing. She got not one bill passed. Not one. Much like Newt Gingrich, who only got one.
Well, collectively, how much work does the Republican Congress
Not much.
do? They work less than part-time, you know.
Yes.
And they take many vacations.
But they're not being paid part-time wages, are they?
They're getting paid super full-time wages.
With benefits.
With
Cadillac benefits, might I add.
the cream of the crop, the best of everything they get free. And on top of that, $175,000 to over $200,000 a year salary. But if you're on social services and you get a few crumbs, then you're getting too much money. Then you're lazy.
That's correct.
But it's okay for you to be a rich congressman or senator.
And have your money make money, then they're not lazy, are you?
No, they're not lazy. The rich are not lazy. They say their money's making money for them. They call it their hard-earned money. It's their ill-gotten gain money, because a lot of them also were born with a silver spoon in their mouth.
Under God's economics, money will not make money. And you will be rewarded fairly for your work.
And
Not sitting around on your fat ass and having your money make capital gains and therefore pay less than your secretary.
And no
Your tax rate.
that's right. And no human being will be allowed to claim any natural resource that belongs to God, like the CEO of Nestle's claims that water belongs
To him.
actually.
And Monsanto
Water-
says
yeah.
that seeds belong to them.
Well, it's funny how the nation's not the nation. I'm sorry. The world's largest producer of deadly pesticides wants to control our food supply, and Nestle's CEO wants to control our water supply, which he claims water is not a right to humans.
Air is next. I'm telling you.
Air is not a right. Water is not a right. Food is not a right.
This is a great chance to exit stage left. Running all the way.
Yeah,
And with Snagglepuss.
Snagglepuss, yeah.
Then have a knockdown, drag-out re-election fight, he said. Okay?
I know the media cares because they're corporate whores, but I personally can care less what any right-wing Republican thinks or feels, or if they're upset. All I know is they're demons and they should be exorcised.
From the government.
Not exorcised. Exorcised
From the government.
from Washington.
Yes.
And coming up, besides 2014 being a very important election date, this Tuesday, I believe June the 2nd, 2013, is the governor...
This when?
It's this Tuesday, June 2nd, 2013.
No, that's 4th.
Is it the 4th?
Yeah.
So this...
Today is the 1st.
All right, so I'm sorry.
4th.
June the 4th, 2013, this Tuesday, June the 4th, is election day for a new governor of New Jersey, and hopefully, let's just